What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA, and man, haven't done one of these in a while. You know, a box office prediction. Let's go ahead and do one for Black Panther because some of the news that's coming out isn't so hot, right? So this, of course, is on Box Office Pro, where all the movie fans go. Long-range box office forecast, and then we're going to talk about Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. And if you haven't seen me do one of these before, basically I go over the pros and the cons of why the Black Panther film will do well or won't do well in the box office, okay? And then not only that, we take a look at my predictions. We'll check out some other information as well to do some comparisons. So here the pros go right here. It's only really one. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever continues to heat up with 1 week until launch and plenty of strong social media reactions out of early industry screenings, giving the first film's ability to break out beyond the die-hard Marvel audience and soar past expectations. This sequel's audience potential still has room to evolve over the coming weeks and could prove this week's minor revisions below unnecessary. So yeah, what it's saying basically here is that the original film had this breakout ability, okay? Because it kind of appealed to people that really didn't go and see a lot of Marvel films, all right? And really what it did, and I'm going to speak from the Black community's perspective, is a lot of Black folks went out and watched this movie multiple amounts of times, okay? A whole lot of folks, okay? Went and saw this thing again and again and again and again, okay? Probably 5-6 screenings a piece, all right? I know a lot of people that went and saw this film about 5 or 6 times. And so it has that potential, right? And I'm talking about people that aren't necessarily going to see every single Marvel movie, or if they do go, they only go like once and that's it. So that's what they're thinking. Yeah, it had this kind of breakout ability where it just broke beyond the mold, and a lot of general audiences went to see that. However, I don't know if that's going to be the case this time, okay? Because there's a lot in this film that a lot of folks in the Black community are just not happy with, okay? Number one, that recast T'Challa, that thing was hashtagging for a long time for a damn good reason, okay? Because a lot of Black men said, hey, I want to see T'Challa, okay? That's what they wanted. That's our hero. That's our guy. Let's us see T'Challa. We understand that Chadwick Boseman passed away. Very, very sad situation, but you guys need to recast him. We want to see our guy back out there. We want to see T'Challa. And they didn't do it, okay? And then the fact that this film features heavily into the feminism, okay? Dyed in the Wolves MCU, okay? Dyed in the Wolves MCU, okay? They gave all the men, hey, y'all get on that back burner. We all belong. Get on back there on that back burner, okay? It's the ladies' turn. We about to push all of this feminism in your face, okay? That's what Phase 4 has been doing this whole time, right? We saw that in the last 2 movies, okay? Thor: Love and Thunder, Doctor Strange, they put the women up front. She-Hulk, trashing men, women up front. So it's going to be interesting to see how people react to Marvel. And then, of course, the Black community reacted to not seeing T'Challa, their guy, on screen. We're going to see how that plays out. So the cons, it says Wakanda Forever's overall range has slightly widened as pre-sales for the most recent 7-day period fell slightly short of projections, though not enough to be concerned about, but short, okay? So that means that the pre-sales, people going to get those pre-sale tickets for this coming weekend, not as many as they expected, okay? They expected it to be a lot bigger, it's a lot smaller. While reactions to the recently released second trailer weren't as measurably strong as the original trailer. Yeah, nobody liked those second spots, okay? All of those spots that was coming behind on that second trailer, people were just like, man, whatever. You know, people wasn't feeling that. Which scored amongst the highest of, and they're talking about the original trailer, of course, which scored among the highest of any recent Marvel film, to be fair. It still remains to be seen whether full critic reviews, and we'll get to that, will have a major impact on sales or social sentiment next week, as well as the film's 161-minute length and continued caution surrounding the tragic reality that this sequel is ultimately without its predecessor's lead star, Chadwick Boseman. Boom. That's going to be, again, the biggest issue is that you guys made a sequel without the lead character from the original. Why would you do that? Okay? Even if you have to recast them, you got to put that guy in there. And they didn't do it. But another piece, of course, is this big 161-minute long movie. It's easy to go get people to see it on multiple occasions, okay? If it's not 161 minutes. Like, that's a long movie, man. That's 2 hours and 40 minutes. Who has the time? Money is tight right now. And yeah, I can see this movie one time, maybe, but twice? Ooh, I don't know about that. Yeah, that's going to be a big issue. I am curious as to why this film needed to be that long. 120 minutes, that would have been fine. 2 hours in and out. But 161 minutes? You think parents are really going to be dragging their kids to see 161 minutes worth of Black Panther? And it's like a funeral. It's a sad, tragic story dealing with tragedy and loss. It's not uplifting. It's not upbeat. I don't know if that was the right decision, but let's check out a couple of these critic reviews. Now, you guys remember I did do a video about the critic reviews, the early reviews that came out. Black Panther was sitting at about a 93%, right? Well, now the critic reviews have been updated. And now on Rotten Tomatoes, it's sitting at about an 86%. So it's down a little bit, right? About 7 points. And I think it's going to continue to kind of come down as the days and weeks go on, all right? Because critic reviews come in slow. This thing is probably going to end up well over 300 or 400 reviews, okay, at the end of the day. Most Marvel films do. So I think it's going to end up somewhere in the either upper 70s, lower 80s. So I think it's still got some room to fall. On top of that, you can see that all critics gave it 86%. Top critics got it at a 76%, and I think it's going to continue to fall from that. But let's go ahead and check out a couple of the latest reviews. This one says, regrettably, Black Panther Wakanda Forever tries to do so many things that it comes across as threadbare and pallid, less a failure of imagination and more of circumstance, time, and narrative constraints. A mercurial prequel that can't match its predecessor. Again, another one here, Black Panther Wakanda Forever might have its heart in the right place, but it is in the wrong mindset and the worst space at the center of a contrived cinematic universe to mourn on its own terms of 1.5 out of 4. You know, this guy's on RogerEbert.com. Yes, it's trying to process loss and grief, but it's a Marvel blockbuster. Really going to be able to grapple with it effectively, whether it is or not is debatable, but the fact it is forced to try. So yeah, there's been some negativity coming in through this. It's been dropping the score, all right? Still red tomatoes here and there, but you can see Wakanda Forever winds up feeling hopelessly stalled, covering an inability to move on by resorting to repetitive, overfamiliar action sequences, modeling emotional beats, and an uninvolving and occasionally incoherent story. Yeah. You know, I said before on the previous one, I think the acting is going to be fine, but I think this is where they're going to drop the ball in the story. Now, Bounding in the Comics also covered this. Black Panther Wakanda Forever box office significantly declined in lead up to film's release. So yeah, the projections are down, and they kind of go over the same stuff from the Box Office Pro article we saw. It says here, originally it was going to be 180 to 225. Now, if you go back to Box Office Pro, you can see here's their chart on where this movie is going to fall. Black Panther Wakanda Forever. You got 170 to 205 now. That's their projection. And then the domestic total overall, 435 to 543, somewhere in that range. Okay, so that's definitely down from where they had it originally, and between 445 and 590 for its overall domestic run. Yeah, now it's down. It covers that right here, talking about the information we just saw. Now, Valiant Renegade has something to say about this, and he said, I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, but Valiant, that's still a hell of a haul. That's a great opening weekend. That's a good run. The movie should still be profitable, and you'd be correct. However, usually when we see trends moving in this direction, it portends something that's going to be even less than what they're looking at now. So basically what he's saying is, yeah, that's what they're predicting, okay? But chances are it's going to come in just slightly underneath that. And we've been seeing it because Thor Love and Thunder didn't meet up to the expectations of the box office breakdowns. And then neither did Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Those also didn't meet up to expectations. Everything's just been kind of slightly underneath what it's been. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Phase 4, this MCU phase, has been diminishing returns across the board. So here are my predictions. Here's what I think is about to happen. All right, so here we go with my make it or break it numbers. You got Wakanda Forever sitting here at $250 million for a budget. Yikes. That's a lot of money to try to make up in one go, okay? $250 million. That means that they're going to need to break even with $625 million. Just to break even, this film has to make $625 million worldwide. And of course, will it? We don't know yet. Normally in this space that you see right here, I'll usually have like, hey, who's going to be the most competition for this particular film? What's standing in the way? What other things does it have to compete with? Really nothing, you know, aside from like NFL or whatever that's coming on Sundays. You know, for the most part, it's got the box office wide open, okay? So there's no excuses for this film whatsoever for not achieving some gigantic numbers except for the stuff that we've already talked about. Now, let's look at my prediction for this film. So normally what I do is I make a comparison to the film that we're discussing to something more recent in the same category. In this case, the last MCU film that came out, Thor Love and Thunder. All right, so you can see Thor Love and Thunder's actual numbers. Friday night had $69 million, had an opening weekend of 144, domestic total of 343 million, and then a worldwide total of 760 million. Now, where do I think Black Panther Wakanda Forever is coming? Well, these are my projections. Could be wrong, of course, but you never know. Friday night, I think it's going to have a big Friday night opening, okay? $90 million. I think a lot of people are going to go out and see this thing on opening weekend as well, okay? I think people are going to flock to this thing. I think it's going to do big numbers opening weekend. However, as I was pointing out, because this film, number one, is super long, okay? Number one, it's super long, and number two, it's kind of a funeral for Chadwick Boseman, and it's going to be ultra depressing, and people aren't going to really go out and watch it like that. I'm predicting it's going to do about 360 million domestically, which is terrible if you start out with 175 million, okay? So that's where I think it's going to land. Now, I could be 100% wrong. These are just guesstimates, of course, but based on everything that I'm seeing and hearing and reading, okay, that's where I'm at with it, okay? And then, of course, worldwide, you know, it was about 50-50 on the worldwide last time, okay? It did actually better domestically than it did internationally, but it was close to 50-50. So I'm going to say it's going to be about 50-50 again this time. Maybe a little bit more on the worldwide than on the domestic side. I'm giving it a total of $730 million worldwide. So those are my predictions for Black Panther Wakanda Forever that's dropping this weekend. Folks, what do you think about my predictions? You can go ahead and leave your comments and your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you next time.